Hey everyone, this is Casey from Gravity Kit, and in this course, I'm going to be showing you how to build a business directory using Gravity Forms and GravityView, and we're going to go through the process step by step. So if you're new to building with GravityView, this is a really good course to go through. It's going to be a short one, and everything you learn here you can apply to any app that you want to build using GravityView, even if it's not a directory. Okay, so I have a new site set up here. This is where I'm going to be working. But the first thing I'm going to do actually is hop over to the GravityKit live demo site. And if you don't know about this, it's a really great resource and you can access it here at site.try.gravitykit.com. And here we host a bunch of live demos for you to kind of get some inspiration on how to use GravityView, and you can kind of play around with things. You can also get your own free demo site to try the plugins for 7 days. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is scroll down here towards the bottom, and you'll see we have a business directory demo. So let me go ahead and open that. Okay, so as you can see, we've got this nice business directory set up using GravityView. It's pretty simple, but as you can see, we've got this search bar here, and you can filter you can filter alphabetically here, and then we have different restaurants showing up here in our directory. And if we click through on one of these, we go to the single entry page. And here you can view some additional information about the restaurant, including you get this nice interactive map where you can see the location of this restaurant here in New York, for example. All right, so this is what I want to recreate in this course, and we're going to go through the process step by step. So let me go back here to the multiple entries page. Here we go. And as you can see, we have some text up here which says this was built using GravityView and the list layout to see how to build it. And then we have this link here. So if I click through here, it takes me to the GravityKit blog, and I get this nice step-by-step tutorial here on how to actually build this. So this is a really great resource as well. But even better, if I scroll down here, you can see we actually have a form template for download. And this means you don't have to actually create a form from scratch. You can just download our template, import it to your site, and work from there. So that gives you a really nice starting point. So I'm going to actually go ahead and download this, and we'll get started. So when I click download now, it takes me through to a landing page here, and I can download all of our templates. So I'll click this button. You can see it downloads as a zip file. Let me go ahead and open this. Okay, so I opened the zip file. You can see all of our form templates are here. They're all in JSON format. Here is the business listing form. So now all I need to do is import this one to my new website. Okay, here I am in my WordPress dashboard. Now all I need to do is hover over forms, and I'm going to go to import/export. And then I'm going to click on import forms. And now I can simply choose that JSON export that I downloaded previously. So here it is. Let me go ahead and drag that in here. There we go. And then import images. We don't have any images in the form, so we don't need to do that. I'll click import, and that's done already. So now I can go to the forms page and look for my business listing form. Here it is. So let's edit that. We can see what that looks like. And this is a really great starting point for a business directory. So we've got fields for the business name, the industry, and we've got a few industries pre-added here, which is nice. And then we've got the business description field, a website field, the business address, opening hours, services, business main phone, business email, featured image, and also an image gallery. Okay, so this is a really good starting point for us. Let's go ahead and actually embed it on a page so we can see what that looks like. And I'll just click on the embed button here in the editor, and then we'll say create a new page, and we'll call that business listing form. And when I hit create, Gravity Forms will actually create that new page for us with our form embedded. So that's great. Let's go ahead and publish that right away, and we'll view the page. And there we go. So we have our nice business listing form embedded here on the front end, and we're ready to start accepting submissions. So what I've done is I've actually added a few entries here to our form. So we have some data to work with, and I can go ahead and view one of these entries. And you can see I filled out all the information like the business name and description and the website and the address. We've even got a featured image in there and a business summary. So we've got all the data we need. Now we're going to look to create a nice directory layout to display this all on the front end. So let me go ahead and hover over Gravity Kit here, and I will click New View, and now I'll give my view a name. There we go. And the next step is to choose a data source. So what we need to do is link this view to an existing form that has the data we want to display. So let me go ahead and choose the business listing form. There we go. And now the next step is to choose a view type. So GravityView supports a number of different view types, which are great for displaying data in different ways. So we have a table type if you're looking to display a table. We have a basic list layout, which has predefined sections for your different fields, which is very good for directories. We have a layout builder, which is really powerful, allows you to create your own custom layouts with drag and drop rows and columns. Of course, we have a maps integration for Google Maps and geolocation directories. We have data tables, which is a really powerful table with additional exporting and filtering capabilities. And then we have the DIY layout for those more advanced users. For this example, we're going to keep things simple, and I'm going to go ahead and choose the list layout. All right, so now we're inside the GravityView drag and drop editor, and I want to draw your attention here to the top. We have these three tabs. So we have the multiple entries layout, we have the single entry layout, and the edit entry layout. And these correspond to the different aspects of a view. So the multiple entries layout is like, think about it as the main directory page where each of our listings is going to be displayed one after the other. The single entry layout is the template for displaying information about one particular entry. And then the edit entry layout allows us to control which fields are editable from the front end. And we can also allow users to update their own entries directly from the front end. Okay, so let's start on the multiple entries layout. And as you can see, GravityView has already added a few things in here for us by default. So if we look here at the top widgets section, we see we have a search bar. We also have pagination information and page links. And these widgets just display additional information about a view, or they are like tools for helping us navigate a view. So you can go ahead and add widgets here if you want to. I'm going to go ahead and remove these two. But the search bar is something we definitely want to keep, and we can actually configure that by clicking on this gear icon. So as you can see here, I've got a single search input set up for searching everything. I'm going to go ahead and click the plus button to add additional inputs here. So I also want to allow users, for example, to search by city. So I'll choose the city field. I'm going to add another one. So let's allow users, for example, to search by street address. And then let's add a fourth one, allowing users to search by industry. Okay, perfect. So that's done. Now we can scroll down here to the entries field section, and this is where we're actually going to add our data. So if I hop back to our demo here on the front end that we looked at in the first video, you can kind of see how things are set up here. So we have the business name up here at the top. Then we have a short summary of the business. On the left, we have a featured image. On the right, we have a business description. And then in the footer, you can see we have the street address on the left and a view details link on the right. So let's go ahead and set this up the same way in the view editor. Okay, so let's start with the listing title, and we'll click add field, and that is going to be the business name. So I'll just go ahead and select that here. And these are fields that are pulling directly from our form. And this allows us to kind of set up the layout as we want it by placing the different fields in different areas. So the next step is to add the subheading, and that is going to be the business summary. So I'm just going to search for summary. There it is. And then let's add the featured image here under image. Again, I'll just search for featured image. There we go. Under other fields, that is going to be our business description. Here it is. And now the footer. On the left, we're going to have the street address. So let me scroll down here. You can see under business address, I have all the different components of the address that I can select individually. I'm going to select street address. And then on the right-hand side of the footer, we have a link to view details, which takes the user through to the single entry page. So the way that we add that is by adding the custom field here called link to single entry. So this will output a link that takes the user through to that single entry layout. If I click here on the gear icon, I can actually configure the link text. I can add my own link text there. And then I also have the ability to, for example, show the label. I also have the ability to control the visibility of this field. For example, if I only wanted this to be visible to logged in users, I could check this, and then I have the ability to restrict that by user role as well. And all of these settings are available for all the fields that you add. So feel free to explore these in the view editor. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. There's one thing I'm missing, which is having the business name also be a clickable link. So if I go ahead and open the field settings for that, all I need to do is check this box that says link to single entry, and that will turn that field into a link so the user can click that to view more information about that particular entry too. And then GravityView also supports opening up single entries in a lightbox as well. And there are a bunch of, there are a lot of different options here that you can play around with. But for this example, we'll keep things simple. And yeah, that's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and see what this looks like on the front end. But before we do that, I just want to scroll down to the view settings and draw your attention to this option here, show only approved entries. So this is checked by default, and this is mostly for security purposes because form entries are typically private. So we don't want these to show up in a view on the front end publicly if they're not supposed to, right? So GravityView has an inbuilt approval system where you can actually go in and approve entries manually as an admin before they show up in a view. But it's your choice whether you want to enable that functionality or not. So in this case, because it's just an example, I'm going to go ahead and disable that. And then I'm going to scroll up and publish the view. And then we can access it directly via this link here. So let's go ahead and open that in a new tab. And here we go. So we've got this really nice directory layout set up, just like the demo. So we've got our search bar at the top, and then we've got each of our business listings displayed here, one after the other. So that was pretty easy to set up, but you will notice that we do have these clickable links here for the business name and the view entries link here at the bottom right. But if I click that, you'll see I get a notice saying the single entry layout has not been configured yet. So we actually have to configure that. All right, so let's head back to the view editor and let's click on the single entry layout tab here. And as you can see, this is a blank layout. So we need to configure it from scratch. Let's go back to our demo quick and let's see how it's configured here. So if I click through on one of these entries, it's going to take me here to the single entry. And this is what it looks like in the demo. So we have, again, the business name at the top and the summary, and then the description here on the right. We also have a link to visit the website. We have the email address. We have the phone number. And then on the left here, we have this map. And this is a nice interactive map powered by Google Maps. And this allows the user to see exactly where the business is located. So we're going to set that up as well. And this is being powered by our Maps integration. All right, so let's go back to the view editor and let's get started. Okay, so first we'll add the listing title, which is the business name. There we go. And then the subheading, which is the business summary. Let's leave the map for now. We're going to go through that a little bit later in the video, but let's first add the other fields. So we'll start with the business description here, and then I believe we had the website. And then we have the contact details, so the main phone and the business email. And let me hop back to the demo quick, and let's see how that looks. So we've got the description, and then for the website, email, and phone, we actually have the label here at the top. So let's go ahead and add that. Here we are. So if I click on the gear icon here, I can add, or I can show the label here. I can also add my own custom label. So let me go ahead and do that. There we go. And I'm going to do the same thing for the business phone and the business email. Okay, so that looks good. Let's have a look at the footer. So we don't actually have anything in the footer, so that's fine. So to add the map, it's actually very simple. First of all, we'll need to check that we have the maps layout installed. So let me go and click on Manage Your Kit, and I'm going to open that in a new tab. And this is kind of the central point in GravityKit where you can manage all of your plugins and installations and licenses. So I'm going to scroll down here. Here's all of our plugins and past extensions to layouts. And here we have the Maps Premium view. So in this case, I have it installed and activated on my site. But if you don't, you'll need to go ahead and install that and activate it. And also note you'll only get access to the Maps integration if you're a GravityView Pro user, because in that case, you get access to our premium layouts, including maps, DIY, data tables, and then also all of our extensions as well. Okay, so I have the layout installed. The next thing I'd need to do is add my Google Maps API key. You can do that just by going to the GravityKit settings here. And I'll open that and then click on GravityView Maps here on the left. And you can see there's a box here to add your Gravity Maps API key. Mine has already been added there. So we can go ahead and go back to our view. And now to add the map, all we need to do, open the field picker and we'll just search for map. Here it is, entry map. So we'll add that and that's it. There are a couple of things you may need to do to ensure that the map is configured correctly. The first is scroll down to the view settings, click on the maps tab here, and ensure that this option enable automatic geocoding is checked. Geocoding is required so that we can display the address on the map. GravityView should automatically pick up your form's address field here, and that's the one it's going to be geocoding. If you have multiple address fields, you can choose the one that you want here. And then the next thing we need to do is click on permissions and then check this option, allow REST access. This is required for the maps layout to work properly. Okay, so that has all been done. Everything is looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and update. And then we'll take a look at that on the front end. So let's go back to our view here and we'll click the view details link. And that takes us through to the single entry page where we can view more information about that entry. So you can see we have this nice interactive map here, and we can zoom in and out, and we can scroll to the side as well, change the look of the map here if we want to. We can also expand it like that to actually fill the full screen. And of course, go into street mode and all of those nice things that you can do on Google Maps. Okay, so things are looking pretty good. One thing you might want to do is allow owners to actually edit their own listings. For example, if their phone number changes or their email address changes, they're probably going to want to update that on the directory listing. So with GravityView, you can actually allow users to edit entries that they themselves have created. So the edit entry layout allows admins and optionally entry creators to update entries directly from the front end without needing backend access to your site. So let's go back to the view editor and then click on the edit entry tab here. And this is our layout. So currently it's blank. A completely blank layout means that all fields will be editable by default, at least for admins. And if you add specific fields here, only those fields will be editable. So the first thing we're going to do is scroll down to the view settings and then click on edit entry. And then here we're going to check the option that says allow user edit. So once we check that, all logged in users will be able to edit entries that they've created. And admins, of course, are able to edit entries regardless of this setting. Okay, great. So now we can choose which fields we want to make editable from the front end. So I'm going to go ahead and choose a few fields here. Let's have the business name be editable, the industry, the description. And of course, we want the business's contact information to be editable, like the business phone number, the email address, for example. And let's also allow them to upload a new featured image if they want to. Okay, perfect. So once you've added those fields, again, you have the ability to configure the settings here. You can click on this gear icon, and here you can choose if you want to show the label or not. And then, of course, you have the ability to control the visibility of that field. So if you only want this field to be editable to the entry creator, for example, or if you only want it to be editable to the administrator, you can set that here. Okay, great. So this is looking good. However, you'll see that GravityView is displaying a notice here at the top, which says no fields link to the edit entry layout. So this is essentially telling us that, great, you've configured this layout, but there's no way for users to actually get here. You need to put a link in somewhere in your view so that users can click through and then update the entry. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go back to the single entry layout here. And then let's add a link in here, and maybe we'll add it to the right footer area for users to actually edit the entry. So if I open the field picker here, you can see I have a field here that's called link to edit entry. And just like we added the link to single entry, this will just output a direct link to that layout. So if I open the field settings here, I can actually update the link text. So I'm going to go ahead and update that to edit business listing. There we go. And now if we go back to the edit entry layout tab, you can see that notice has gone. So let's go ahead and update the view. Then we'll take a look at that on the front end. So let's open this again in a new tab. And let's run through the whole directory here. So we've got the multiple entries screen. Here users can browse for businesses and they can see all of them in this nice list. And of course, you can search in the search bar if you want to find a specific business. And we can click View Details to go through to the single entry layout, and we can see more information about that business, including a nice map to see exactly where the business is located, as well as the contact information here. And then the business owner who actually created this listing will see this Edit Business Listing link, and they can click on that to go through to the Edit Entry layout. And here they can actually update the business information directly from the front end. Now, I'm an administrator, which means I'll be able to edit all the entries. I also have the ability to delete entries. But for users, you can control that ability. So if you don't want users to be able to delete their own entries, you can remove that capability. Okay, so as you can see here, everything is editable directly from the front end. So let's say we wanted to change the industry of the business, and then maybe we wanted to change the phone number here and the email address, for example, add something in there. And then we can update that, and that will update the entry, and then we can return to the entry. And there you go. You can see our changes have taken effect immediately. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this short course showing you how to build a business directory using Gravity Forms and GravityView. Be sure to check out additional content on GravityKit Academy to learn more, and I'll see you in a future course.